Good afternoon, everybody. We are in downtown Miami, Florida. We're going to be streaming for about 1 hour tonight. We're going to be talking about the labor force participation rate. Last week, we got a pretty encouraging jobs number. So we're going to be talking about what that means for the economy, but most importantly, the labor force participation rate. Hey, the Game World 2 is here. What's up, the Game World 2? Andrew Lee says, what's up from Queens? Dante Rose says, hey, Tom. What's up, everybody? Hope you're doing well. We are in downtown Miami, so we're going to be walking probably for about an hour. What's up, Sierra friend? Good to see you. Vinny Castellano says, hey, Tom. What's going on, everybody? Andrew Lee, Vinny Castellano, Exploration says evening. Ice says, hi, Tom. What's up, Ice? So we are walking right under the Metro Mover, which is sort of like the Miami subway station, if you will, or the mode of transportation down here. Nicholas says, how you doing? I'm doing really good. Doing really good. We are in downtown Miami tonight. Yesterday we were in Sunny Isles Beach. So we will be walking in the distance to where all these skyscrapers are in the background. But one of the things I wanted to talk about today that's really interesting is the jobs market, because we had an amazing jobs number, added over 450,000 jobs last month. But I want to go into that more in depth, because even though we're adding so many jobs, one of the concerning things that I'm seeing is the labor force participation rate is near all-time record lows. So we're going to talk about why. Hey, George Lopez says, hey, sunshine after rain. What is going on, everybody? What's up, George Lopez? Soho guys says, yo, Tom, I made a post about something interesting last Prez said. Soho guy, please send that to me or put it in the chat. Jimmy Anderson is here, says, what's up, dude? What's up, Jimmy? Good to have you here. British Gray says, good Tuesday evening, Tom. British Gray is our pal from Tampa, Florida. Always good to see you. Jimmy Anderson says, cheers, and hope life is treating you well. Thank you, Jimmy. Appreciate you, my friend. Always good to have you here. We're going to be walking downtown Miami tonight. Beautiful night. Is probably about 70 degrees. Maybe a little bit warmer than that, just a tad. Hope everybody had a good weekend. Tuesday, tomorrow is already Wednesday, halfway through the week already. So that is pretty good. But here in Miami, it's quite moderate. It's not as hot as obviously the summer. It's actually been pretty chilly the past couple days. So a lot of people here in Miami, the natives, have been walking around in jackets, sometimes winter coats, which is a little bit crazy. Gilson says, isn't it dangerous? Not particularly dangerous. Hey, Brandy says, good evening, Tom. What is up, Brandy? Good to have you here. Hope you're well. And British Gray from Tampa, Florida. Hope life is treating you well. So we are on the corner of Northeast 14th Street and US 1, Biscayne Boulevard. We are going to be walking near the main sporting complex, the main arena. One thing we'll notice about Miami is there's so many electric scooters all over the place. There's like 3 or 4 electric scooter companies, and they all park them outside. Jimmy Anderson says, how long are you in Miami for? I will be back in New York City the week of Thanksgiving. So I'm going to spend the week, all the week of Thanksgiving, I'm going to be in New York City. So I scheduled a couple meetings, and now I'll just be hanging out with the family. Ice says, stay safe out there, Tom. Appreciate that, Ice. Right back at you. So this is the Carnival Tower. Pretty cool here. RJ says, Olaf from Colorado, Tom. Hope you are doing okay, RJ. Good to see you here. Sal Mendez says, I like Florida, been there, but I prefer both weathers. Very cool. Walter says, is it warm there? Yes, it's probably about, I'd say tonight, maybe 75 degrees. Throughout the day today, it was actually pretty chilly here in Miami. So very, very nice weather. Very beautiful. Jimmy Anderson says, do you ever go to the parade in New York City for Thanksgiving? So Jimmy, my old office was actually right outside of where the main parade route used to go. So my office was right there, 1166 Avenue of the Americas. And when I was a teenager, I actually used to work across the street of where they would blow up all the balloons for the parade as well in New York City. Gamer World 2 says, wow, the view. What's up, Gamer World 2? Santa Monica Rodriguez is in the house. What's up, Santa Monica Rodriguez? Hope you're well. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the chat. Alan Wilson says, good evening. Still haven't found your skateboard amongst the boxes. So I have found the skateboard amongst the boxes, but it's been very difficult for me to get the board out up and running, just because I've been doing so much every day. In and out of meetings. I've been seeing more people in person, so it's hard for me to transition in my work clothes to my street clothes. Buy the Book says, hey Tom, what's up, Buy the Book? Hope you're well. Gibson says, I miss Miami, you gotta come down. Soho Guy says, yo Tom, the lives of the poor and disabled is about to take a turn for the better. I hope so. It's phenomenal. It's fantastic. But Alan Wilson, good to see you. Good to see everybody. Joey's here, says hi Tom. What's up, Joey? And we have Charlie Richardson. What is up, Charlie? Hope you're well. We are in downtown Miami tonight, so a little bit different. Yesterday we were streaming from Sunny Isles Beach, Florida, which is probably about 10 miles away from here. The Mighty Bull says, good evening, Tom. Good evening, the Mighty Bull. Hope all is well. We got the Mighty Bull, Charlie Richardson, Joey, Sal Mendez says, Wall Street. Tough question, New York or Miami? I would have to say New York. But I think the two best places for living, if you could split your time 50-50 between New York City and Miami, Florida, I think that's the two best places, in my opinion, in the United States. But that's just my personality. That's just my view on things. Walter says, are you a fan of GTA Vice City? I am not a particularly good fan of that. Murky says, what's up, Tom? How's it going, Murky? Good to see you. Hope you're well. We're going to be walking downtown Miami tonight. Sal Mendez says, I agree 100%. Yeah, New York is the greatest city on earth, obviously. However, if you could split your time, I think it's very important for people to split their time between multiple cities, just so you have a pretty nice diversity. And if you have all your business contacts in one city, I just don't think that's very good. So I think a good diversity is much needed. Hey, Jando Vlog says, hello, my friend. What is up, Jando Vlogs? Soho Guy says, yo, Tom, I don't think the community outside the U.S. flipping the bill will be too happy. Flipping the bill will be too happy, says Soho Guy. Soho Guy, please enlighten us on what you mean, my friend. Murky says, did you read about a charitable remainder trust? So I have not had time to, but I'm definitely going to brush up on that, Murky. If you have any specific links or anything that you'd like me to read that you think would help, definitely put them in the chat, because I've been so busy with the move and everything that it's been difficult for me to read anything. Hey, Ved says, yo ho, what's going on, Ved? CHR92 says, what's up, Tom? Did you see Tesla ugly down day today? I did. I think Tesla's down, what, 10% today? Something like that. So if you want to read my Behind the Street newsletter, I actually just published it about 4 hours ago. So if anybody is interested in a free financial newsletter, feel free to go to my YouTube community page and check out the Behind the Street newsletter. Sabrina Ferris says, hello, Tom. I was hoping I could catch another stream before my trip. Very cool. Yes, Sabrina, where are you going again? I forgot. Are you going anywhere in particular? I know you told us, but I forgot. Murky says, if I link a YouTube video, is that cool? Yeah, absolutely. Please link it in the description below, or in the chat. Joe Lee says, good evening, Tom. What's up, Joe Lee? Good to see you, as always. Exploration says, Tesla down 12%. Jimmy Anderson says, our Beer and Bets new episode will premiere at 9:15 Central Standard Time on YouTube. Just picks for the week, nothing special. Please check it out, everybody. I'm not sure if you guys can see this, but check out the moon. This is actually the moon in the distance. I'll try to zoom in on it. The moon looks incredible. So this little sliver right here is the moon. Looks insane. I'm not sure if it's gonna come out well on the stream, but in person it looks ridiculous. Cosmo Scary is here. What's up, Cosmo? Good to have you. Today was an extremely busy day for me. I did not think I was going to be able to stream tonight, so I'm very happy that I'm going to be able to get outside, get some exercise. So not bad. Hope you're well, Cosmo. One thing I've noticed about Miami is there's so much construction. Pretty much everywhere you look is a new high-rise going up. So pretty crazy. Roy S says, hi Tom and all mods and everybody. Hope everyone is doing great. Right back at you, Roy. Uncle Car Guy says, what are you going to show us today? So we are going to be walking to downtown Miami. So we'll be able to see the FTX Arena. We're going to see the Freedom Tower here in Miami. And then we may be able to, if we have time, we'll walk over to see the Aston Martin building. Murky says, have you been to Palm Beach yet? Not yet. Not yet, but I've gotten that suggestion numerous times. A lot of people have been wanting me to go to Fort Lauderdale as well as Palm Beach, Florida. So we're definitely going to have to go there. Sally says, hi, Tom. What's up, Sally? Hope you're well. Uncle Car Guy says, what Aston Martin building? So there's an Aston Martin building down here. That's pretty cool. I think we ran out of sidewalk, guys, so I think we're gonna have to jump over this thing. Usually this is a sidewalk where people can walk, but it seems to be blocked off, if you guys see. Hey, Black Angel says, hey Tom. What's up, Black Angel? Good to see you. Happy Tuesday. Here's another one of these bikes. So there's 3 companies. One of them is Lime, one of them is Bird, and I forgot the other one. But there's 3 companies that do these ride sharing for these scooters. Ice says, you're my favorite walking streamer on YouTube. The conversations are always very interesting to listen to, and you try to interact with all your viewers, says Ice. Appreciate that, Ice. Yeah, we do the best we can on the channel. You know, we do the best we can. We usually actually skateboard around, but ever since I moved, I've just been so busy. I think that I underestimated just the amount of effort it takes to move into the place, do renovations, do work, keep up on my regular job. So hopefully sooner rather than later, we're going to be able to get back on the board. So stay tuned, everybody. Sal says, so did people just leave the bikes, or can you rent them? So are you talking about the scooters? So the scooters, yeah, you can rent them. And here in downtown Miami, the scooters are very popular, and I think they're actually piloting them in the Bronx. Met ODC8 is not sure about Miami, but the other company is Spin. Believe it's owned by Ford, actually. Very cool. Jando Vlogs is great quality video streaming, my friend. Appreciate that, Jando Vlogs. Hope you're well. It's definitely a windy night out here, guys. Crazy amount of wind. Sal Mendes says the scooter company. Got it. Hey, Faith says good evening. Nice clear view. What's up, Faith? We're right here underneath the palm trees in downtown Miami, looking up at the mega tall skyscrapers here. Gibson says, I can't wait to visit Miami again. You got to get here. Roy S says, Tom, I read your latest newsletter. Really learning a lot. Thanks. Appreciate that, Roy. Yeah, so for anybody who's interested in reading my free financial newsletter I put out, all you have to do is click on my YouTube page, so Wall Street Skate Bro, and it'll bring you to a link on the community page where all of my newsletters are written. Uncle says, the Aston Martin building, do they park Aston Martins in there? I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that. Maybe somebody in the chat will have to Google that one. Faith says, looks and sounds windy. Yeah, it is crazy windy here in downtown Miami tonight. So we're walking past East 11th Street. Miss Mo says, hi Tom, enjoyed your newsletter. Thank you so much. Black Angel says, can you tell us another investor analysis resource in addition to IBD or Investors Business Daily? So that is just one newspaper that I particularly like because I think the analysts do the most. Let me rephrase that. I think that the analysts at Investors Business Daily do the most thorough work, in my opinion. But another just baseline financial newspaper is Barron's. You could read Barron's, and they're all owned by the same company now. Because Investors Business Daily was actually created by William J. O'Neill. And he actually just sold the company, Investors Business Daily, to News Corporation, which also owns Fox News, Wall Street Journal, and Barron's. So they're sort of all under the same shell there. I'll quickly show, this is my favorite building in Miami. Hey, Edson says, hey Tom, how are you doing? I am doing very well, Edson. Black Angel says, in Sacramento, Lime and Bird are popular scooter companies. Yeah, they seem to be very popular here in Miami as well. So this building is my favorite building in downtown Miami. It looks crazy. Ron says, hi T. What's up, Ron? Goshimer86 says, hi Tom. Long time lurker. You do a great job with your live streams. Hey, thank you so much, man. Really means a lot. Appreciate you. Love the architecture on these buildings. Really crazy. Soho guy says, Tom, thoughts on BlackRock? I have a lot of thoughts on BlackRock, Soho. I'm gonna have to articulate that best I can, but I will get back to your question. Edson says, awesome building. Marty Lewis says, hi Tom. It has been warmer in New York City, but so cold inside my apartment. Yeah, Marty Lewis, it's actually been pretty moderate here in Miami as well. I would say probably during the day it gets up to like 75 at night, probably high 60s. Sabrina Fair says, BlackRock is the devil, that is all. Ooh, interesting take on that. Marilyn Ringle says, join me in hitting the like button. Hello from Murray Hill. If not a subscriber, hit subscribe. Tom is closing in on 6,000 subscribers. Appreciate that, Marilyn. You're very, very kind. Uncle Car Guy says, are you going to show us where the Miami Heat and Miami Dolphins play? Yeah, so the Miami Heat plays right here on the corner. The Miami Dolphins play... I'm actually not sure where they play. I think they play a little bit further north, probably about 15 miles north of this location. But this arena is called the FTX Arena. And it's right here on Northeast 10th Street in downtown Miami. And I believe this is where the Miami Heat play. So we'll be able to have a better look at it in just a minute as we pass Northeast 10th Street. Fred T says, did you read the Fed report that dropped today? Says Fred. I did not get a chance to read it. But from what I heard last week from the Fed, it's just the same old song and dance. Virtue signaling that they're going to start to taper and they don't expect to raise interest rates anytime soon. So it's just the same old dog and pony show. They're going to continue to support this market. They're going to continue to buy bonds. They're going to continue to buy treasuries. They're going to continue to buy mortgage-backed securities. And they are going to continue to keep interest rates at bottom of the barrel levels, in my view. So this looks to be a sushi place right here. Sushi Sake. Uncle Car Guy says, look at that BMW M car. Can you get us a view of it? I think we missed it. Let me see. But here's another one of these scooters. I think this is the Lime one. Cosmo Scary, I see you. Soho guy says, Tom, thoughts on Larry Fink? I have very good thoughts about Larry Fink. Larry Fink actually was just at a conference, a big conference with, I believe, Ray Dalio and Steven Schwartzman. So this is Biscayne 900 Bay, Biscayne Bay 900. And this is my second favorite building in Miami, this one, with the very, very colorful top. Jano Vlogs says, the best part about the city is it looks clean. Yeah, that's my one big takeaway from Miami in comparison to New York City, is that Miami is so much cleaner than New York, in my view. So here we have the FXT Arena right in front of us. Boston Curve says sake, Japanese rice wine. Very interesting. Yeah, I don't drink alcohol, so I wouldn't know that. So thank you for informing us of that. Sabrina Fair says, very cool looking, dig those lights. Hunter Butler says, RNG went up $50 a share today, Tom, after the earnings report. Very cool. RNG, I'm trying to figure out what ticker symbol that is. Is that Ring Central? I think that is the UCAS provider Ring Central. Is that correct, Hunter Butler? Keep me honest, I'm not sure. I usually do a good job of memorizing every ticker symbol, but I believe RNG is Ring Central. Is that correct? So if we look straight ahead, we're going to see the Freedom Tower in Miami. So this white building here is actually the Freedom Tower. It's called Freedom Tower. Sabrina Fair says, no drinking, no clubs, no swearing. What a sweetie you are, Tom. Thank you, Sabrina. Appreciate that very, very much. But Hunter Butler, good to see you. Chris G says Shiba. What's up, Chris? Hunter Butler says, yes, RNG Ring Central. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I actually have in the past sold some Ring Central solutions. So if we think about a company like Ring Central, we could think about a competitor like 8x8. So they mainly deal in Unified Communications as a Service, or UCAS, as it's called. So here is where the Miami Heat play, at the FTX Arena, right here. Very cool place. Uncle Car Guy says, where is the Miami airport? I believe it's over near Hialeah, so directly west from this location. So you got to go a little bit west. Daryl says, good evening from Chicago, Illinois. Daryl, thank you so much. Always good to have you here, Daryl. Daryl, appreciate it. So here we are, everybody. The Freedom Tower, Florida Heritage. So right in the background here, I'll try to get the shot with the Freedom Tower. Freedom Tower is this white building right here. Marilyn Ringle says, do you think the way concert security will change after what happened in Texas with people trying to stampede towards a stage? I would not go to concerts nowadays. Yeah, so I heard about that a little bit briefly. I believe it was at like a hip-hop concert. Like 8 people died, and they're trying to blame the person who put on the concert. But at the end of the day, I mean, kids are going there, they're doing drugs. So, I mean, I think 8 people died of cardiac arrest. And when you're at a concert and you die of cardiac arrest, it probably means that you were either severely intoxicated on top of overdosing on a plethora or a numerous amount of drugs. Which again, it's terrible, it's heartbreaking, it's a horrible story. But at the end of the day, you know, you can't just blame the guy that's putting on the show. The guy that's putting on the show didn't tell you to take a bunch of drugs. They didn't tell you to do a bunch of cocaine or Adderall or Molly's or whatever. Marilyn says, there will be a ton of lawsuits. I'm sure. I'm definitely sure there will be. Horatio Snipes says, I'm a little sad right now, Tom. We'll cheer up our pal Horatio, because we are in downtown Miami, and it is a beautiful night. And we're checking out the FTX Arena, where the Miami Heat play. Faith says true. Daryl says, hope Walking Commuter and Action Kids show up on the live stream. I hope so too. Are they in Miami? That'd be sick. Miss Mo says, being in a crowd of 50,000 people is a bad idea either way. Yeah, I mean, some people like concerts, right? Some people like going to concerts. I'm just not a big fan of that stuff, but there is a big market for it. And I think people should be able to go to concerts and enjoy it, but they need to do that responsibly, right? And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, they overdose on drugs, they get a little bit ahead of themselves, and then they, you know, once something goes bad, they want to blame everybody else, so. Soho Guy says, yo, Tom, BlackRock values the world outside the U.S. in the quadrillions of dollars. That's probably how I would value it as well, because there's a lot of families around the world, like royal families, that are probably worth a couple $1 trillion. Yes, you heard that correctly. Not a couple billion, but a couple trillion. Roz999 says, small venue jazz shows in New York City are more my style. Same here. Ren 10 says, Action Kid was on earlier in Times Square. Very cool. Tat says, recently I came to know USA Treasury printed lots of money out of thin air, and if its bubble burst in near future, it will be beginning of new depression of 10 to 15 years, giving way to China rise. So Tat, I agree with you up until you said China rise, because China tends to be very self-destructive. So China is currently, right now, they have some of the best businesses in the world and the best entrepreneurs in the world. But the CCP, the Communist Chinese Communist Party, will not allow free markets to work. They want total government control and operation over these businesses. So I think that's going to be their downfall. And over the long term, I actually think that China will need the United States. Uncle Car Guy, so if you're new to Miami, do you have any places to recommend to eat? I don't have any places to recommend to eat right now, just because I'm so new, but I'm looking to explore more places to eat, definitely. Roy S says, don't worry, Tom, I think Billy Joel concerts won't be that chaotic. He will perform in Orlando, but not Miami. I would definitely be interested in seeing that. Uncle Car Guy says, what about New York? So I always recommend this restaurant called Becco, B-E-C-C-O, to everybody that goes to New York. Faith says, Tom, just curious if you listen to Tool, the band. I have not listened to Tool, the band. Ren 10 says, I saw Jamiroquai, New York City. Amazing concert. Very cool. Zero Tolerance is, if you get over to South Beach, check out Lincoln Road Mall. It is South Florida's premier outdoor shopping, dining, and entertainment destination. Zero Tolerance. I definitely will do that. Thank you so much. Hey, JK is here. What's up, JK? All right, so everybody, I guess we'll get started. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about the labor force participation rate, and why the labor force participation rate is actually more important to look at in relation to the unemployment rate, right? Because although the unemployment rate is actually going down, what we're seeing is the labor force participation rate is actually not healthy whatsoever. So we had a jobs number come out last month that was actually pretty good, in all honesty. The jobs number was actually pretty good, over 400,000 jobs added, but these are people that were already looking for jobs in the first place. These aren't people that are considered re-entering the workforce. So what we have to figure out now, and I don't know the answer to this, and this is why I sort of wanted to bring it up in conversation on the channel, is why are there so many people not participating in the economy? Why are there so many people sitting on the sidelines, not working, not getting jobs, not applying for jobs? I was reading an article in Barron's this weekend that says the labor force participation rate is actually the worst it has ever been since the 70s. So that means more people that are eligible to work. So the prime working age in America is anywhere from 25 years old to 55. And what we're seeing is that these people that are able-bodied, willing and ready to work, they're not working for one reason or another. So as we see stock markets hitting all-time record highs every single day, we have this very sort of dystopian-like disparity between equities prices and the actual economy. And this is something we've talked about ad nauseum on the channel, that the stock market is not the economy at all. Soho Guy says, yo Tom, communist mandates, that's why, says Soho. Interesting take, Soho. JK says, wow, read your statements about the labor force participation rate being that low. War Walker, hey, what's up, War Walker? Says, good night, Mr. Tom. I hope you feels good. How's the new house coming along? The new house is coming along very, very well. Very, very nice. Appreciate you asking. Mark Davis says, good evening there, Tom. A little late tonight. Hope all is well with you. Hello from Toronto. Mark, I saw some of the pictures of the soccer pitches you were put up. Those are fantastic. JK says, equity markets is not the economy. I would have to agree with you. Hey, Brian Rock, Rail fan, says hi, Wall Street Skate Bro, and everybody. Maya says hi to all in the chat. Shrek says, just looked at Becco's menu. The stuff looks good AF. It does. It is. If you go to Becco, you got to make sure you get the unlimited pasta. It's called the Pasta Trio, and you also get the antipasta. Very good. Tat says, new report of DoD Pentagon raises concerns over Chinese CCP strategy to take over the world by 2049. American people should work on low-level industries too. Not everything needs to be bought in China. Very interesting, very cool. So I'll show you guys these scooters here, and I'll try to get the comments reading. Hey, Tom says, robots took my welding job and my glasses making skills are for naught. Robots get it next. I'm stuck mining Mitoy, says Tom. Miss Mo says, a lot of people are looking for job changes because of the vax mandates. So you think the reason why the labor force participation rate is still low is because of the vax mandates? Maybe. Very interesting take. I never thought about that. Hey, the one and only Dan Russell says, have you been to a Heats game yet? I have not been to Miami Heats game yet, Dan, but that is on the bucket list. That is definitely on the bucket list. The Mighty Bull says, we are living in the Matrix, literally. This is the Mighty Bull. Let's see if we could walk up these stairs and check out the stadium a little bit more. I've never walked this close to the stadium, the FTX Arena, before. Ices are those rental scooters. They are rental scooters. Jonathan C says, hi, Tom. How are you doing? I am doing very well. JK says, I ride Bird scooters electric the other day. Very cool. Roz9999 says, many of us lost our work-life balance during the pandemic and burnout is real. You know, that's actually a very interesting point and a very valid point. Because in this article that was talking about the labor force participation rate, it says that the pandemic really exposed an area of, you know, how important childcare is, you know. And for a single guy like myself, you really don't think about those types of things, right? I don't think about, you know, do I have to stay home or do I have to go pick up my kid? Or, you know, if the kid's being in school, that's pretty much my childcare. So maybe people are staying home or choosing to stay home due to the pandemic. But one of the things we're seeing is the majority of schools are open already. You know, schools are open. Things are pretty much back to normal. So I'm not sure why the labor force participation rate is so low. Maybe it's just so many people are discouraged. I don't know. Hey, Morgan GA says, hey, Tom, have you been to Clearwater or Tampa, Florida? That's where I'm at. Have a great night. So I have not, but I'm definitely will plan on going there very, very soon. Melanie Sam says, hello. Faith says, Matrix is scary. You never know what will come out of it. JK says, Bird is a company you can invest in that rents scooters. Very interesting. Fred T says, we are living in the metaverse. Roy S says, Tom, does it mean that 61% labor force participation rate is still considered low? It's considered very, very low. It's considered extremely, extremely low. Who else do we have here? Hey, Photos from Around New York says, hello, where are we walking tonight? So Photos, we are in downtown Miami. We are right outside of the FTX Arena where the Miami Heat plays. And it's kind of cool being up here. You could see over all of downtown Miami. It's kind of cool. Ren10 says, Tom, read your newsletter. I like Rapid7, the stock. Yeah, so Rapid7 is a cybersecurity company, which my friend actually just got a job as an enterprise account executive at Rapid7. So very good company. But one of the things I really wanted to drive home in the newsletter is that it's important to look at the big macro trend of things. So when we're thinking about investments, or not only investments, when we're thinking about or talking about, you know, career advancement, you want to look for something in a growing industry that has a massive total addressable market. You know, you do not want to go into something that is in structural decline. So if we look at where all the demand is, we see the big demand going into technology, more specifically in cloud computing and cybersecurity. So if you think about Google's Google Cloud Platform, if we think about Amazon AWS and Microsoft Azure, those are probably going to be the biggest profit centers for those specific companies. I also think that Zero Trust Technologies, SD-WAN, which is a software-defined wide area network, will also generate tons of revenue for cybersecurity companies. Peter Webley says California has a $150 billion underground economy. Peter, very interesting. BB223 says, what's the temperature tonight, Tom? It feels about 73, 74, maybe 75 out tonight, BB223, but good to see you. Happy Tuesday, BB223. Zero tolerance is no car dealerships downtown, Uncle Car Guy. So we're actually standing directly outside. I've never been this far up on the FTX Arena. Very beautiful view here. Mark Davis says, Tom, are you headed back to New York City for Thanksgiving? I am. Indeed, I am, Mark. What about you? Ice says, I think a lot of younger people are working online jobs since it's easier to make money online nowadays. Less people are going to college now. So Ice, are you saying that people are starting their own businesses more? Is that sort of what you're getting at? Maya says, love the look out there. Yeah, so these apartment buildings are really, really beautiful. Really, really amazing. War Walker says, when are you going back to the Big Apple for Thanksgiving? We will be going back for Thanksgiving, everybody. Estelle says, hi, how you doing? What's up, Estelle? Good to see you. Samuel says, phones. I did hear about that also. So we'll do one lap around this arena and then we'll go a little bit more downtown. There's a lot more to see. Hey, Abe Bless says, greetings from London, UK. Uncle Car Guy says, which would you visit first, Miami or New York? I mean, if you're coming from abroad, it's probably easier to fly into John F. Kennedy International Airport. But then after that, I would definitely hit up Miami. So this is the view from the main platform at the FTX Arena in Miami. This is where the Miami Heat play. Very cool. War Walker says, are you going to the parade? Maybe not. War Walker, probably not, actually. Mark Davis says, I will be back in Niagara Falls that weekend, Tom. We can now cross the border now by land. That is awesome, Mark. Hopefully we'll see you in New York City very soon. ICE is starting their own businesses, becoming sponsors, etc. Okay. Ren 10 says, Tom, you gonna live in one of those buildings one day in the penthouse? I don't think so, Ren 10, but I appreciate that. If I ever have the money, I'll buy the penthouse for you, my friend. Cosmo Scary, what's going on? Peter Wembley says, yes, entrepreneurship is increasing. If that is true, that's actually very positive for our country. Uncle Car Guy says, where does your family live, Tom? In New York City. Cynthia says, hi, Wall Street Skate Bro. Everyone looking forward to the skateboarding. Indeed. Cynthia, good to have you here. We are outside of the FTX Arena. DN says, very beautiful area. Some serious dough here, says DN. 48 from New Zealand. So, hey, 48, I saw a crazy video on Twitter in New Zealand of a massive protest of the vaccination mandates or cards or whatever in New Zealand. Can you provide a little bit of clarity on that? What's going on with that? I saw a big, what do you call it, video online about that. War Walker says, you should take Metro Mover to Mary Brickell Village. We're probably definitely going to do that one day. Uncle Car Guy says, what do you do for Thanksgiving? I'm probably just going to hang out at home. Hey, Patrick New York says, hey, Tom, good to see you. Right back at you, Patrick. Always good to see you too, my friend. Hope you're well. Ooh, COVID-19 warning. I wonder if you have to get a vaccine to go into this arena. I know at Madison Square Garden you do, but I'm not sure here. Michael K says, hey from Russia, have a great night. Appreciate that. Ice says, what age did you start investing in the stock market? Probably around 17, 18, I think. Uncle Car Guy says, what do you do, Tom? I work in tech. I work in the technology industry. Domicile 3 says, meme coin Panda Inu launched this evening. Interesting. And I think I feel a light drizzle here. Nicholas Persad says, good night, Tom. Such a beautiful night. Hope everything is going as planned for you in Florida. Appreciate that, Nicholas. Hope everything is going planned for you as well. I know that you just welcomed a kid into this world, so congratulations on that. Very, very much well-deserved congratulations. So I'll give everybody another look at the FTX Arena, and then we will head out. But here's something I thought was very interesting. So the labor force participation rate held at 61.6% last month. It hasn't broken above 61.7% since the economy emerged from lockdowns. And the current level of participation is the lowest since the 1970s, except for during the lockdowns of 2020. Employees hired in October were already looking for work and thus counted in the labor force, meaning they don't represent a re-entrance. And that was what I was getting at in the job numbers, because even though we like to see people getting back to work, I think it's very important we have to understand that these aren't people that are re-entering, that were at one point outside of the workforce and are trying to re-enter. So I think that's a big problem in America right now, is the labor force participation rate. I think it's very concerning for us as a country why the participation rate is extremely low when we have so many jobs available. And there's a lot of speculation about why the labor force participation rate is so low. Maybe people are discouraged. I just don't know the answer to that. I really don't know the answer to that. So perhaps some people can put some insight in the chat. Because one of the things that I was speculating as we're right here outside of the Freedom Tower, this is actually called the Freedom Tower here in downtown Miami. One of the things that I was speculating as to why the labor force participation rate is so low in the United States is because all of the added benefits and money and stimulus that the government has been giving everybody for free. However, those benefits and those stimulus money ended months ago. They ended about 2 months ago now, and we're still not seeing an uptick in labor force participation. So that is definitely not good at all. Uncle Car Guy says, can you show us Central Park when you get back to New York? Indeed we can. Absolutely we can. So I used to live right there, Central Park South. We used to skateboard around there all the time. So I would love and enjoy to go back. So we definitely will. Peter Webley says, low wages and crappy jobs. Yeah, so Peter, I think you make a good point. So what Peter is saying is that the majority of the job openings that are out there are lower wage or lower paying jobs, so people would probably opt not to take those jobs. So I think what's probably going to happen is you're going to see you're going to see employees start to incrementally increase wages. So this is going to be wage inflation on a lot of companies. So what I wrote about today in the Behind the Street newsletter is that if you have a job right now, or if you are looking for a job, 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to get a relatively nice sized raise. So if you're at a job right now, I would go and ask your boss for a raise. And if you're at a job and they won't give you a raise, I would apply to a competitor of your company, and you're probably going to get a 30% salary bump. Hey, Hermes Addicts is here. Says lots of folks with the low-level jobs had time and space to get away from that and do other things, says Hermes Addict. I think that's a very good point too. But good to see you, Hermes Addict. We are here in downtown Miami, right here at the Port of Miami. Beautiful night. It's raining a little bit and it's good. It cools things off. 48 says, yes, that's right. Just a small number of people protesting over the jab and making teachers and medical staff mandatory to have the vax, says 48. Well, hopefully everything is going well in New Zealand. British Grey says, Tom, Governor Ron DeSantis made an announcement that nobody will have to get the vaccine mandates to enter inside the establishments. I did not know that. Very interesting. Yeah, so the governor of Florida is Ron DeSantis. So I think I'm probably going to have to get accustomed or acclimated with Florida politics. Sunshine After Rain is here. What is up, Sunshine After Rain? Ice is why the scooter rentals just sitting out like that. People won't steal them. That's what I thought too. But apparently not. Apparently there's really no theft. Tom says everybody's bucket list suddenly had a used by date. But Hermes Addict, always good to see you. Good to see you again. Abe says, it is similar case all around Europe. People might now be self-employed or nomads. Tat says, look, Tom, I know you love fundamentals, but I initially did this, but with time, I came to know that the price of stock is different from book value. It depends on demand and supply. Price tells everything. Yeah, Tat, I definitely agree with you. I definitely agree with you on that. And so one of the things that is actually proven, or what I like to live by, is I really won't look at a stock unless it has a high PE ratio, right? So 9 times out of 10, if a stock has a low PE, that probably means that there's nothing special going on there. There's no innovation. There's no, wow factor. If you look at all of the stocks over the past decade that have really outperformed the market and has helped portfolio managers generate alpha, which is outperformance over their benchmark indices, what you'll find is that they've actually all had PE ratios in the hundreds, right? So the only thing that a high PE ratio really means is that around an earnings event, if the company misses earnings expectations, that stock is going to get clocked and it's going to get hit hard, and probably, gapping down 30 to 40%. But if it beats and exceeds expectations on the earnings report, that stock is probably going to gap and go and continue to justify its premium valuation. So when I talk about valuating different type of companies and being a fundamentalist, I think I'm a fundamentalist within the parameters of the market environment. So if we think about the big picture, the macro, the number one thing that I think we have to take into consideration is, what is the Federal Reserve doing, right? So the Federal Reserve is going to continue to buy mortgage-backed securities. They're going to continue to buy U.S. Treasuries, and they're going to continue to leave interest rates at artificially low bottom-of-the-barrel rates, in which case it should stimulate the economy and drive equities prices ever higher. And so we've been on the long side of this market, and I definitely do have to agree with you. Hey, William says, looks nice in Miami. They sure light the place up. Reminds me of Miami Vice, says William. Ice says, how do you pay for the scooters? That I'm not sure. I think it's on an app. App. Estelle says it's an app. The Mighty Bull says the school does have a GPS system. Very interesting. Shrek says, what's your thoughts on micro work? I'm not sure what that is, Shrek. Could you clarify a little bit? Let's see. Roy S says, more and more people prefer living as digital nomads now. They cannot be included in the labor participation statistics anyway, says Roy S. Very interesting take. Very interesting take. Uncle Car Guy says, very pretty in Miami. It is always very pretty in Miami. I would have to agree. I'm liking it here so far. Dan Russell says, Florida and Texas and other red states are as free as you're gonna get living in the United States. Hey, Techno Pingus here says, why USA needs more employee? Asked because a new labor visa category is available for Dominicans. I think that's fantastic. Well, in the United States, it's almost impossible to find workers. I mean, companies are having such a hard time finding and retaining employees. Like, that is the number one problem of employers right now, is finding and retaining employees. Maya says, it's so quiet out there, Tom. Where's the people? So in downtown Miami, there's really not a lot of people out. after 5 or 6 o'clock. The Mighty Bull says, where does God fit into the stock market since he created us? Very interesting question. Aaron Mazadik says, yes, DeSantis isn't into the vax passports. Bottomless Coffee's here. What's up, Bottomless Coffee? Ron says, as always, great stream content, Tom. Thank you, and good night from Northwest Illinois. Thank you, Ron. Appreciate it. Scallywag says, in other words, the poor get poorer, says Scallywag. Yeah, I think that's a big problem and that's why I've been on the side of anti-quantitative easing. So and it's the majority of it is, the Democrats are pushing this, that, quantitative easing is better for the lower class and the middle class, but that's actually not the case, because all quantitative easing does is increase the price of assets. And if you look at the data, the majority of people who own these assets are actually the 1%, not the middle class and the lower class. So if you're going to have very accommodative and easy monetary policy, it's just going to expand. You're going to get a multiple expansion in the valuation of these companies, and the people who own shares of stock, the people who own real estate, are the 1%ers, not the middle class, not the poor. Dan Russell says, do you think the high amount of government unemployment benefits is also a factor in getting people to work? Yeah, so Dan, that was originally my thesis, and I think a lot of economists were thinking the same thing. But we have to understand, these benefits stopped by and large in September. So why aren't people going back to work? Very interesting. Alan Wilson says, what the Florida law actually says is that private businesses can require masks, but they cannot require proof of vaccination or refuse to do business with you if you aren't vaxxed or don't want to prove it. This is Alan Wilson. Thank you for that. Hey, we got the one and only Joe Hernandez here. What is up, Joe Hernandez? But thank you for that insight, Alan Wilson. I did not know that, so thank you for that clarity. This tree is absolutely beautiful here. Scallywag says, assets increase also lower the little buying power the middle class was hanging on with also, says Scallywag. I think I have to agree with you too. Scallywag, I think you make a great point. I think the Federal Reserve has done more to rob the middle class blind of the whatever little purchasing power they have. I think you put it very eloquently, and I would have to agree with you, Scallywag. Hey, Sunshine After Rain is here. What's up, Sunshine After Rain? Good to see you. Oh my God, guys, we already have a Christmas tree up here. So we have the Christmas wreath, and we also have a Christmas tree up. Look, I'll show you. Check this out. Christmas tree in Miami. How crazy is that? This almost looks surreal because it's 75 degrees out, and I'm looking right at a Christmas tree. Very, very surreal. Cosmo Scary says, Tom, do you use a Mac? Yes, Cosmo. And speaking of a Mac, I actually pre-ordered, or ordered, I should say, the new iMac, because I'm going to trade in my old iMac because it's inoperable. And due to supply chain shortages, the thing, so I ordered it in mid-October. I ordered the new iMac in mid-October, and I got an email today saying they pushed back the date again and that I should be able to receive it after Thanksgiving. And which I believe, because if you listen to Apple's earnings conference call, one of the notable things that happened is Tim Cook is the CEO of Apple, and he said that global supply chain shortages and backups and chip shortages, which is semiconductors, the semiconductor chips that are used in manufacturing phones, tablets, computers, Tim Cook said that cost them about $8 billion, about $6 billion in lost revenue for Apple. Wow, this looks amazing in person. I'm not sure how it's coming out on camera, but very, very cool. Dean M says, Merry Christmas, Tom. Can't believe the trees are up already. Me either. Really crazy. Patrick New York says, Tom, are there any big tech companies reporting earnings this week we should be aware of? Not really, Patrick. So all the major tech companies pretty much by and large reported earnings last week. which we covered in detail, in depth on the stream. So we had Apple, we had Amazon, Microsoft, pretty much all the big players, all the heavy hitters reported earnings. And Google also reported earnings as well. Now we just have the smaller companies, because already we had about 87% of the S&P 500 report earnings already. And by and large, they came in better than expected. Kin says, thought workers were in short already for Christmas trees. Talvish says, hey Tom, how are you doing tonight? What's up, Talvish? Thank you for being here. Nick Bond says, check it out. Thanks, I have some invested already, but I've been reading about short squeezes lately and it fascinates me, trying to figure out how much is true. Abe says, it looks good on camera too. Ice says, what's your favorite holiday, Tom? My favorite holiday is probably Christmas, I would have to say. Bottomless Coffee says, are you in Bayside, Queens? No, we are in Miami, Florida. 09 says, don't know about everyone, but was able to save a lot of money between stimulus, unemployment during the pandemic, and taxes to be able to work a lot less this year. I did think a lot of people probably did the same. That's a very good insight. I think that's probably the best insight we've had on the stream tonight. So I guess what your overall thesis was during the pandemic, you were able to stay home, you were able to save more money with all the stimulus, and now it gives you a little bit more wiggle room to say, you know what, I could take a couple months off. I don't have to go back into the workforce because I have all of this cash that I've already saved due to the pandemic. So I think that's probably the best piece of insight we've seen on the stream all day, and I actually have never thought about it like that. So thank you for that insight. Very interesting. Site B Studios says, very true. What's up, Site B Studios? Bottomless Coffee says, it was a joke regarding that Bayside sign next to you. Bottomless Coffee, always good to have you here, my friend. Hopefully we get back to Bayside soon. Ice says, out of curiosity, how old is everyone here? I'm 26. Not sure about everybody else. Talvish says, do you like Linux OS? Not particularly, honestly. Sal Mendes says, mine is Halloween and Christmas. Hey, iRevis is here. What's up, iRevis? Always good to see you, iRevis. QBiz is here. What's up, QBiz? 09 says, exactly, and I'm in Fort Lauderdale. You should come up here for the stream. We definitely will have to sometime. Carmen Jimenez says, wow, Christmas decorations already. Tom says, sorry, never explained the joke. 52. Yeah, so anybody that's just joining, if you want to check out the newest edition of the Behind the Street newsletter, which is my free financial newsletter that I write every single week, feel free to go to my YouTube community page and check it out. I drop it every week. It's free for you to read. Feel free to check it out. Talvish says, you're 35. Tad is 32. Site B Studios says, hi, how are you doing? Always good to watch your live stream. When are you back in New York City? I will be back in New York City the week of Thanksgiving. The week of Thanksgiving. Stel says 44. Ice says 25. Jason says 23. Carmen Jimenez, good to see you. Cosmo says, oh crap, thought that was real person at Champs. What's up, Cosmo? Tat says, look, Tom, I know you love fundamentals, but I initially did this, but the time came to know that the price of stock is different from book value. It depends on demand and supply. Price tells everything. 10-4. Yellowman says, beautiful Florida, Sunshine State, a lot of alligator crocs. What's up, Don? Cosmo Scary says, you think Rivian IPO is overpriced, Tom? I think Rivian IPO, I think Rivian, the company, has a lot of potential. But then again, I think I wouldn't touch it right now, in my opinion. But that's just my view, Cosmo. My view is that anytime a company goes public, I tend to not touch it for the first year. So I will very, very rarely will I ever buy a stock when it just becomes public on an exchange, because I think we first need to understand what an IPO actually is, right? So an IPO in layman's terms, it stands for an initial public offering, but it is quite literally the transfer of ownership of the company from founders, from employees of that company, from private equity, from venture capital. So from the private market to the public market. That's essentially the literal definition. So in order for that to work, there's going to be extreme volatility. So usually the first year or so that a stock goes public, the volatility tends to be the highest. And what will happen is analysts from all the major investment banks will usually be assigned to the stock depending on market cap. So you'll have analysts from Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Mizuho, all the major investment banks, HSBC, and then they will track the stock's earnings. So for me, I like to make sure I see at least 4 solid quarterly earnings reports of a company that is now public. So I want to make sure that this company didn't go public off of a fluke and they're looking to just cash out and make a lot of money off the IPO. I want to make sure the earnings are sustained. I want to make sure the earnings and the sales growth and the profitability of the business is sustained over at least 4 quarters, which is a year. Hey, Karina Thompson is here. What's up, Karina Thompson? Hope you are well. We are walking around downtown Miami. Pretty cool view here. EBITDA says, hey Tom, hope all's well. What is up, EBITDA? Right on time. Our pal EBITDA. So EBITDA, we were just talking about my main concern with this economy being the very low labor force participation rate. So that was the topic of the stream tonight, is that the labor force participation rate in the United States is still at 61.6%, which is the lowest it has ever been since the early 1970s. So we had a very good jobs number come out, and I can't deny that. But if we dig a little bit deeper into that number, these people that got hired are not considered re-enters into the workforce, right? So the labor force participation rate is the more accurate number to determine the health of the overall economy. And we're not seeing any improvement at all in the labor force participation rate. So if we think about the prime working age in the United States is anywhere between 25 to 55 years old, we only have about a 61% labor force participation rate. So very concerning to me. There's a lot of people sitting on the sidelines, opting to stay home. They don't want to work. And I think that is extremely, extremely concerning. Joe K says IPOs are always super inflated, says Joel K. I tend to agree with that. Karina Thompson says, hey Tom, I'm doing good. How about you? I'm doing very well. Veronica says, hello, what is your name? Greetings from Lima, Peru. My name is Tom. Greetings, Veronica. QBiz says, I miss seeing the dancing girl animation on that hotel across from you, Tom. Oh yeah, I think we could see it right now. Let's check it out. Yeah, so this is the Intercontinental right in front of us. Hey, the Austin Tennis says, hey Tom, looks like a beautiful night in Miami. Austin Tennis, hope you're well, my friend. Austin Tennis is our pal. Austin Tennis also works at a big investment bank and wants to make the transition to the technology sector. EBITDA says, it is hard to get workers when they are getting paid more to stay home. Yeah, the participation rate is pretty brutal. Everyone wants $30 an hour, says EBITDA. Yeah, so EBITDA, I think you make a good point, but by and large, the majority of the government stimulus and the extra unemployment benefits ended in September. So that is what's a little bit perplexing. The September number was decent. The September number was actually revised up about 250,000 people. But what's more important is not to look for the amount of jobs that were added, but the participation rate is more important. That's why, when Donald Trump was president, he would always talk about how great the unemployment rate was. Joe Biden will always talk about how low the unemployment rate is, but that's not very telling to the actual health of the economy. You want to look at the labor force participation rate. So every time you have a government entity telling you to look here, you should probably be looking in the opposite direction, because it's all about deceiving you into thinking that things are better than they actually are. So the stock market is not the economy, and I think the thing to watch is the labor force participation rate. So it's very perplexing, EBITDA, like you said. Why aren't people going back to work? Who knows? By the book says, strange times we are living in. Indeed, by the book. George Lopez is here. What's up, George Lopez? Tom says, I've always suspected the unemployment numbers were politically flexible. They are more truthful now. The fat number has replaced the thin one. 40% unemployment on the res and Milwaukee slums. Well, that's horrible. That's really terrible. Friendship Light says, hey Tom, sending love and positive vibes from Brooklyn, New York. Love Brooklyn. Edson says, what do you think of crypto? Very bullish. Cryptocurrencies, not any of the memes, scammy stuff, but I'm very bullish Bitcoin and Ethereum. And if you want to know my views more in depth on cryptocurrencies, feel free to check out my free newsletter in the description. EBITDA is true, but I believe people have been complacent since then. They have grown their savings and are not desperate for work. I'm sure it will only continue to tick up, hopefully. Yeah, that's true. So EBITDA, we had a viewer of the stream comment that during the pandemic, he was able to save a ton of money because he was getting money from unemployment. He was getting the stimulus checks, and he was smart about it, and he didn't blow it, and he saved it. So now there's really no rush into going back to work, because I think a lot of Americans are quite flush with savings. So that is a good point. Very good point. Harris says, all about matrix stuff. Big Boss says, hello, you say no one wants to work, but I have 4 months searching for a job and no results, says Big Boss. Big Boss, what particular industry are you looking in? And I'm not sure I would agree with the statement that I'm saying nobody wants to work. I mean, I think it's a very complicated situation. I think it's a very complicated situation because the majority of the jobs out there are probably lower paying jobs. I do agree with you. The Austin Tennis says, is Tom taking us to that concert tonight? So Austin Tennis, speaking of concerts, I think there was a big concert by you that was a horrible disaster, and like 8 people died of cardiac arrest. It was horrible. I forget the name of the guy who was putting on the concert, but Rooster Tax says, was that couple fighting in the parking lot? I'm not sure. EBITDA says, Wall Street scapegoat. It is also interesting to see all the workers' strikes going on recently. Yeah, so I think the most notable one, EBITDA, is what? John Deere. I think they're still going at it. So John Deere came back and said, look, this is our best and final, and the workers are still not taking it. So it's just a wild predicament we have going on. But good observation with that. Ton of worker strikes. I think right now is the biggest opportunity for employees. So I've been telling everybody, negotiate your contracts, ask your boss for a raise, because 9 times out of 10, he's going to give it to you, because it's so hard for businesses to retain employees. Penelope says, evening everyone. And Tom, it is complicated. Yes, it is, Penelope. Shrek says, it was Travis Scott concert in Austin, Texas. Horrible. Check it out, says enhanced unemployment benefits was not that much. EBITDA says JD cereal companies, I believe union out in California as well. Yeah, we are living through quite bizarre times, everybody. Check it out, says Travis Scott was still rapping when they were carrying out bodies. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't really even know who this guy is, but in my opinion, in my experience, You know, anytime you're a concert goer, it's not like you're just going there to jump up and down. You know, these kids are teenagers. They're probably hammered, drunk, severely intoxicated, and mixing that with drugs. So whenever you have a cardiac arrest event, usually drugs are involved. You know, an 18-year-old kid just doesn't have cardiac arrest because it's crowded. You know, you go into cardiac arrest based upon the fact that you are mixing drugs and alcohol, not because it's crowded. EBITDA's Wall Street Scaper, what's your thoughts on PayPal, their earnings and the reaction? So, you know what, EBITDA, I actually was going to include that in the newsletter. So here's what I'm thinking. And I'm going to touch on Visa, MasterCard a little bit. If you look at Visa, MasterCard, PayPal, all of these stocks are trending down. And they're being dumped quite severely. And that's really weird to me, because usually these are surefire bets, right? Visa, MasterCard. So what the market is telling me is that there's some sort of disruption at play. You know, could it be buy now, pay later companies are going to take over? Maybe. Is it that, you know, cryptocurrencies are going to take over? Maybe, I'm not sure. But the market is definitely telling us something, that these traditional payment processors, you know, you even look at Square, you know, so Visa, MasterCard, Square, PayPal have all been selling off recently. So I think the market is telling us something, that there is going to be a disrupting force. And the only thing that I can think of and that I speculate it could be is, I think Wall Street is really thinking that buy now, pay later is going to be a big hit. So that's really the only thing that I could think about. So I'm keeping a very watchful eye on all of the buy now, pay later stuff. EBITDA says, I personally bought more PayPal at a discount today. Yeah, I mean, you probably made a good buy there, EBITDA. You probably made a good buy. But my opinion is, I think the market is forecasting something. Because if we think about the industry as a whole, just check out MasterCard, Visa, all of these are trading at a severe discount in terms of relative strength to other stocks in the market. So I think that the market is forecasting, a disruptive event. Hey, Joel K says, how do you think NVIDIA and AMD can go? I think as high as they want, but I think that now, I think the market is extended right now. So October 4th marked the low of this market, and we've been on just a succession of record highs. And we've covered this ad nauseum on the stream. And right now we have the NASDAQ sitting about 8% above its 50-day moving average. We have the S&P 500 about 5% above its 50-day moving average. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this market give back a little bit. Is that a bad thing? No, I actually think if this market gives back going into Thanksgiving, I think that's actually going to be extremely bullish. And the reason why I think that is because 84% of all S&P 500 companies have now released their earnings reports, and the vast majority of their earnings reports have come out beating expectations. But not only beating expectations and raising forward guidance. So any weakness in this stock market, I think, will be bought, especially going into Thanksgiving. So I really do hope we see this market give back a little bit. I think that'll set us up going after Thanksgiving and giving us a nice Santa Claus rally to close the year, because we also have to understand that in the hedge fund business, towards the end of the year, you have performance chasing, right? So it's really called window dressing in the industry, where you'll have hedge fund managers that are currently underperforming their benchmarks. They try to chase their performance into the end of the year. So I think, should we get a little bit of a sell-off going into Thanksgiving, I think that's going to be extremely bullish, based upon the fact that earnings came in better than expected across the board. And most importantly, the Federal Reserve is going to continue buying treasuries, buying mortgage-backed securities. And to use the words of Fed Chair Jerome Powell, we have absolutely no thoughts, or we're not even thinking about raising rates. So all of those stipulations, I think, will come about a rip-roaring rally into the end of the year. But I think we're going to give a little bit back first, because we've gone up for like 6 weeks in a row. So I'd like to see us give back some. EBITDA says, yeah, fund manager are trying to avoid redemptions as always. Yeah, exactly what EBITDA said. So we're probably going to have some window dressing. We're probably going to have some return chasing. Patrick New York says, I've bought and sold AMD for years. Great stock. Awesome, Patrick. Roy S says, Tom, anything surprised you along these earnings reports, EPS from big players? I think just I have a little bit of confirmation bias. I knew that all of these tech companies were gonna do better. I think you're going to see moving forward, especially from the big cloud computing companies. So you think about AWS, Amazon's AWS, Microsoft's Azure, as well as Google Cloud. Most importantly with Google, so Google's cloud unit right now I think is losing about, don't quote me on this, but I think about $600 million, or it's either 600 million or 160 million. I know that's a big difference, but I can't remember right off the top of my head. I think it's $600 million if somebody wants to look it up. So right now, Google's cloud unit is losing 600 million bucks. The average analyst on Wall Street thinks that's horrible if you read these analyst reports. I actually think quite the opposite. I think that's phenomenal, because you have to look at this on a relative basis, right? So Google is a cash cow. I actually should say Alphabet. The free cash flow that company generates is insane. But their cloud computing unit is actually losing money. But if we look back the previous 2 quarters, every single quarter they lose less and less money. So I think by early 2023, Google's cloud computing unit is actually going to turn profitable, and all of that free cash is going to hit the bottom line. So in my opinion, I think that the 2 most innovative sectors going into this next decade is going to be, number 1, traditional cloud computing, your platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, and number 2, cybersecurity companies. The Austin Tennis says, this area is amazing and feels relatively safe with all the lights. Yeah, downtown Miami, this is where the majority of the office buildings are here. So very, very safe, very good. EBITDA says, Tom, if you have any inside info on any tech companies before they report, please let me know. Indeed. You guys will be the first to know right here, right now on the stream. Hey, Traveling Tips is here. It says, are self-employed and gig-based individuals included in the labor participation rate? Curious how they are accounted for. They are not. So any like 1099 or something like that, they are not counted in that. Faith, what's going on? Ken Kramer says, we all need inside info just like Nancy Pelosi. Oh man, we're gonna have a big stir in the comments after that comment, Ken. But I agree with you. Look, all of these guys are doing the insider trading, all of them. It's not just the Democrats, it's the Republicans too. These people all technically trade on inside information because they are in turn setting the policies. I'll give you an example. So the Senate and the House were in talks about increasing cybersecurity spending in the United States, which I think by and large is actually a good thing. I think that was a bipartisan issue where everybody can agree that the United States should probably spend more money on increasing the technology spend in our cybersecurity infrastructure, which I think makes sense. So that went past, and then it comes out about 3 weeks later, Nancy Pelosi and her husband were buying a ton of call options on cybersecurity companies right before they announced to everybody that the US government will be investing billions of dollars into new cybersecurity products from companies like CrowdStrike, Zscaler, and the like. Hey, Kurtz's Travis Scott Festival. It's usually not because victims are trampled. They're squeezed so hard they can't get oxygen. Yeah, that is terrible, man. It's terrible. Vern says, I just wonder how many of those who have saved their stimulus and extra unemployment money will just see how far they can live off that, then try to find a job when their money is depleting, says Vern. I think that's a great question too. Hey, Super Friends in the City. Fernando is here. What is going on, Super Friends in the City? Austin Tennis is not asking for any financial advice or anything, but do you foresee crypto entering a bear market for Q1 2022? Austin Tennis, I answer that question and more in the newsletter. But no, I don't. I think that Bitcoin is going significantly higher, not just higher, but much higher in my view. And I've held that view for quite a while, and I will continue to hold that view until the trend changes. But right now the trend is up. And the cryptocurrency markets, more specifically, when I talk about cryptocurrency markets, I'm really talking about Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm not talking about any of these memes or any of these crazy things, but Bitcoin and Ethereum is signaling to the market that inflation is not transitory. Inflation is not transitory, like Fed Chair Jerome Powell is saying, and we are actually about to get hit with the second wave of inflation that's going to be worse than the first. AVH 700 says, what do you think about Rick's stock? Never heard of it before, so I cannot comment. Joyce Carter, what's up, Joyce? Dominique says, what's going on? NJB says, are you going to see Spider-Man No Way Home? Maybe, perhaps. Smokey McPot says, life is not measured by the breaths we take, but moments that take our breaths away. Says Smokey McPot. EBITDA says Pelosi has gotten away with murder. Just with Visa IPO alone is ridiculous. Plus the Fed presidents trading ahead of their decisions is insane. Yeah, it's all corrupt. It's all horrible. I do agree with you, EBITDA. But if you and me were ever caught insider trading, you know, we'd go to jail. But if the Fed presidents do it, you know, they're just allowed to retire somewhere tropical like Miami, Florida. Austin Tennis, is any particular reason why you're not into Cardano? So I just weighed the risk parameters around that. I mean, I'm not like the way I think about it is I'm a capital allocator, right? So what am I going to allocate my capital to? If there's things that are surefire that I know the fundamentals to, I do think that Cardano is a very interesting project, but I would rather not speculate on that and just own the core things that I know that the institutions are buying. I know that hedge funds are buying Bitcoin. I understand it. I think it's a good store of value. The market is telling us that it is. It doesn't matter if I think it or not. The market is telling us that Bitcoin is now is acting as a store of value. The dollar just hit an all-time low versus Bitcoin. So if you do US dollar Bitcoin pairing, the US dollar is now trading at an all-time record low versus Bitcoin. And I think this confirms my thesis that the US dollar is in a hyperinflationary collapse versus Bitcoin. EBITDA says, I have an early meeting regarding another deal. There goes my life for the next couple months. Y'all have a good night. Hey, EBITDA, first and foremost, congratulations on that. I know you're going to crush it, but try not to work too hard. And I appreciate you stopping by and providing your insight. Appreciate you very, very much. I think we actually just went over stream. Wow, we've been streaming for an hour and a half. I said we'd only go for an hour. I may have to jump on the bus here and head home. I know it's been a short one, but we had a pretty good stream, everybody. No Self says, look at that view. Absolutely no self. EBITDA says, Tom, what percentage of your portfolio is crypto? Really curious. 5%. 5% EBITDA. T and Me TV says, hi, Tom. Just home playing in Grand Ole Opry and tuned in. Very cool. I mean, EBITDA, if you think about it, the overall market cap of cryptocurrencies is literally nothing. I mean, if you have 5% of your portfolio in this thing, you know, over the course of the next 20 years, that's going to generate a ridiculous amount of alpha. Like that's going to bring the weighting to 15% alone if you don't trim or hedge or do anything like that. Sunshine After Rain, thank you for being here. Super Friends in the City, Fernando, thank you so much. EBITDA says, I have 3% in crypto currently. Very cool. Santa Monica Rodriguez, hope you're well. Sally says, yes, Tom, good stream as always. Everybody, I know I have to end it here because I have to catch my bus, but I appreciate everybody joining. I know it was a short stream. Hopefully we will be able to get the skateboard back as soon as possible. So we will work on that, but it's just been crazy with the move and everything like that. Buy the Book says, great stream. Thank you. Appreciate that, Buy the Book. So everybody, we were talking about the labor force participation rate and why it is so important to look at the labor force participation rate. If you haven't read it already, if you go to my YouTube's community page, you can read the Behind the Street newsletter for free every single week. However, I'm going to have to migrate the Behind the Street newsletter over to its own platform because YouTube says it is too long. I think I am limited to 5,000 characters, so I have to keep the Behind the Street newsletter short, which sort of cuts into my ideas and my thoughts and my expressions. So we're going to have to migrate that as soon as possible. But everybody, I hope to see you tomorrow. I'm really going to try my best to stream the sunset tomorrow, but the sun sets at like 5:30, so it's going to be very, very difficult. Alan says, aren't you glad you don't have to go 20 blocks in 10 minutes for a train? Viva Miami. Indeed, Alan Wilson. Austin Tennis says, Tom, do you ever take the Lime scooters instead of the bus? I have not taken one of these scooters yet, but I'm definitely going to keep it in consideration. Austin Tennis, definitely going to keep it in consideration. So everybody have a great night. Already Wednesday, middle of the week coming up. Happy hump day to everybody on Wednesday. Keep it productive, stay optimistic. And to the Mighty Bull, have a good night. To the Mighty Bull, wherever you are, because there is always a bull market somewhere. You just need to know where to look. Take it easy, everybody.